Hey, I'll say this about crappie fishing, and this is the truth. Most of it is confidence when it comes down to it, and that confidence comes from experience. And crappie can be a hard fish to understand at times. They don't sit around and hang out in the same spot for any length of time. I mean, they're a fish that's on the go. I see the crappie as kind of a nomadic fish. I always kind of, if they're not moving, they're not too far from thinking about moving. And I think that's just the way it is. If you think about how a crappie lives out there, you know, it's like any other fish. It has predators that would love to gobble it up. A big giant flathead catfish. So they are alert to that. They're always on the lookout for anything that will set off the alarm. So they need to be ready to move on at a moment's notice, and they are. And that's why here today, gone tomorrow. So not only are they kind of naturally just kind of meandering around at times, being ready to go from one spot to another to feel secure, maybe from predators, but also when the weather conditions change, when the barometric pressure changes and they feel uncomfortable, they need to go to a water depth that makes them feel more comfortable, so they move, okay? If the water temperature changes and they don't like that temperature and they think there's somewhere else that the water temperature might be more comfortable, maybe they'll move to that. So there's a lot of different reasons that the crappie will move and when they move. I'm a firm believer also that the crappie and other fish tend to feed around the moon a little bit. In other words, they have active periods of time based on where the moon is at and what the moon is doing at any given time. So you know, so there's a lot of different things going on, but the bottom line is a crappie is not hard to catch. Once you've found them and you know they're there, unless they're like way hunkered down, or maybe they've been a lot of fishing pressure on them. A crappie that has had little fishing pressure, if it's not like just super hunkered down because of weird weather or whatever, you can get them to hit, you know, with a variety of baits, and it's not going to be real critical with that. You know, you're going to want to pinpoint your colors and have certain colors you want to start with and then change up a little bit as time goes on. You know, with the crappie, you do sort of, I believe, have to kind of match the hatch. You know, some crappie fishermen, I've heard this over and over again, they say just follow the bait fish, follow the bait fish. So they look for the shad. And that's good, you know, because the crappie do relate to the shad. But the thing is, like here on Fort Loudon, it's hard not to find shad. At times, shad are everywhere. So it's, you know, times there's plenty of shad around, but I believe they feed on other stuff as well. You know, crappie are going to feed on other things. And I think particularly in the winter time, when they get back in these back of these creeks, like here on Fort Loudon, where it's on these warm days, you have little hatches, little insect hatches, and they will tend to hit smaller baits. I think when you put on a little bitty crappie jig, a little 1/32 ounce or a little 1/64 ounce, you're basically mimicking either a little tiny bait fish or some type of a little aquatic insect. And I think they just have a reaction to little baits like that look like the real thing going through the water. Not that you have to have an extremely realistic looking bait, but something that's the similar size and has just a look that they can react to.